Hey everybody, James Cordiner here, Voluntaryist Academy, voluntaristacademy.com. Thanks for tuning in to this very special interview that I participated in on Wake the Dead, Sean McCann's podcast called Wake the Dead. Sorry, my levels are all out of whack here in the intro. My bad. Anyways, I hope you like it. Sean invited me onto his show, episode 121. So that's all the proof you need. He's been at it for a while, and he sure knows his stuff. And he wanted to bring me on to talk about the new project. As many of you might know, if you've known me for a while, then you know that Sean and I go way back. He invited me on his show to talk about Voluntaryist Academy, and what you're about to see is that great conversation that we had. So buckle up and get ready, because the dynamic duo is back at it again for this episode of Wake the Dead. Find a link in the show notes to go and find Sean's content.
Greetings. Welcome to Wake the Dead. Today we are very delighted to have my brother James Cordiner here with us today. Welcome, James.
Hey, Sean.
You are here because you have started a new endeavor, and I wanted to highlight that to my viewers. And my viewers know you from my work with Black Pill Digest. That was a co-collaboration between us, and we had a lot of good attention. And I want to bring their eyes to your new work to see what you're doing these days. And I like your new presentation, and I like where you're going, and you found a new focus for you. You have a purposeful podcast now. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Black Pill Digest was wicked fun. It was a blast. I really appreciated the time that we spent doing that, and
right.
I learned a lot.
Likewise.
From that. I learned a lot from that experience, and I'm hoping that a lot of people get great value out of the Black Pill Digest, because it was a labor of love. At the end of the day, we really, I look back fondly, and I'm so proud of that, because there was so much that we both learned, and that we were both really focused in on making sure that people walked away from those long ass episodes with a better understanding of a topic, or maybe just not even the topic itself, but some sort of better look at the subtext of having an open mind. That was really what Black Pill Digest was really supposed to be, and to really help people get through these tough situations, just to have an open mind. But yeah, ever since Black Pill Digest came to a close, I also was working on a Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth, right. and I was that came to a close kind of abruptly in August.
Okay.
Yeah, or was it October? It was around September, right after Seed 5, and I just decided, I'm going to focus on the autonomy course. I had enrolled in autonomy, and I was like, I'm gonna shift gears, and I'm gonna step away from the podcast. I'm gonna focus on autonomy, because that was on Friday nights, and I'd be staying up late, and I didn't want to do so. I got through autonomy, and I was starting to think, well, we're gonna go back to doing the podcast, but man, it's kind of a mess. And I wanted to do a rebranding, right?
I didn't think it was a mess. I liked Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth. I think it was
wasn't
good.
that it wasn't that part. It was the show had a different name than the website, and that's not
that type of thing.
So these types of things, like with branding and stuff like that, it's not about like I'm trying to sell you something, but it's just
I get it.
The term,
it helps. It's cleaner. Like it's So you learned from autonomy. This is Richard Grove's class, and he helped you to refocus your efforts. Is that because you were with that community, and you were inspired?
Well, yes, I really wanted to come back and make sure that I was more focused and that I had a more clear message and that I was doing something that I'm confident in and
Yeah,
that I wanted to really show everyone the excellence that I could provide for
right.
the world.
You're not a
And
hitchhiker anymore. Right. Yeah.
right, so what I started thinking about was, man, we're in trouble. All of the things that I personally learned in the Black Pill Digest experience, and even through A Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth, uh, man, it just came to my mind one day. I should really focus in on teaching people about voluntarism because that's what I care about.
Yeah. That will exactly. I mean, you're leading this conversation very well here. What is voluntarism,
Oh,
and why would you be caring so much about that?
I care so much about it because I have children, and those
Oh,
children of mine are going to inherit a future no matter
hmm.
what it looks like. So my life's mission is to do everything that I possibly can as an individual to ensure that they will have a better future. Part of
Wow.
that means that I'm going to have to, and I have a moral obligation to reach out and try to touch as many people's hearts and minds as possible with a better message than the one that we're being served on a shit platter by the media that most people consume on a daily basis. Voluntarism is that message. Voluntarism is the social philosophy that posits all forms of human association should be voluntary and based on the non-aggression principle. It also posits that any initiation of violence on peaceful people is illegitimate, no matter what the outcome. But but it allows for the use of force in self-defense or in the protection of your own property. In other words, it's the proposition that interactions in which both parties consent are universally preferable to interactions in which on only one party uh, coerces the other. So
So,
essentially, voluntarism is the moral position which maintains that no peaceful person can justly be submitted to the control of others in the absence of his or her own consent.
right. So it is free will.
Mm-hmm.
It's like free will in action. So, really, there are no rulers because we choose to do what we want. So, this is an anarchy. Like, this world is based in anarchy and mind control, right? I mean, it is anarchy, and like our everyone is agreeing on the mind control.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. So it's everybody's like, ooh, anarchy's scary. This voluntarism, it it kind of comes at it from a different angle. Like, anarchy is the absence of coercion, but voluntarism is the presence of free will. Like, it's the positive way of saying this this word that means a negation of something. Like, instead of having something be removed, what would you replace it with? Your own will, right? It's the
Right. Right. For sure. I mean, the reason why it's not called Anarchist Academy, unfortunately, that word has been really just bastardized for generations now. I mean,
hundreds of years. Yeah.
when people hear the word anarchy, there is, I mean, unless you're in the know and you're really prepared to have the intellectual self-defense to not fall prey to this kind of psyop against freedom, then you're going to, if you're not that lucky, you're going to think about Molotov cocktails and bricks being thrown through windows and people with, intentionally masking their faces like these black bloc people out that stemmed out of the battle for Seattle out in the West Coast. And
Those people can easily be infiltrated by police officers,
sure,
and then
sure.
all hell can break loose once they, false flag situations out in the
Right.
streets, basically.
So the word voluntary accurately represents just exactly what kind of actions are necessary in order to bring about a condition of anarchy. So
Right.
anarchy isn't necessarily, in my view, a set of actions. Voluntarism highlights the set of actions necessary to bring on the condition of anarchy. So
Right.
anarchy, as your audience probably already knows,
Hopefully, yeah.
hopefully, and if they don't, let me just say an is the prefix that means without, and archy comes from the Greek word archon, which means rulers, not a measurement. Okay, it's rulers, people, ruling class of people. All right, who use coercion and deceitful tactics in order to gain your trust and to make you do things that you otherwise would not do. So anarchy, that means no rulers. So what is it going to take to bring on a condition of no rulers, of freedom? We will need to learn how to coexist through voluntary interactions. That means that we don't do anything without the other party's consent. Voluntarism is the philosophy of consent. It
Wow.
is learning through self-reflection what actions do and do not initiate harm against other people and frankly other sentient beings, period.
So wait, doing harm is wrong?
Yes,
Thank you.
initiating harm is wrong.
Yeah,
Treading
this
on
is
other
great. This
people's
is great.
rights, treading on other people's rights is wrong.
Right.
And that is an objective statement. So that would lead us to make sure that people know that that is an objective statement. The word is, it is wrong. And that means that right and wrong is objective. And
Mm,
that would be why we say morality is objective. The
that's
difference
right.
between right and wrong is the same for all sentient living things,
Right.
creatures, people, and
Mm,
otherwise.
right.
Actually, let me backpedal on that. It's it's the same for the conscious people who can understand the difference. The
Mm.
difference is the same, but you
The
have to be able to
others,
understand it for the consequences to apply to you. So this is
the
like saying, the same as saying, well, you can't teach calculus to a dog, right?
right,
But you can teach a child that if they touched a hot stovetop that they're going to get burned.
right. And all people, we are social creatures. We can't just go be solitary predators somewhere. We need to have interactions with each other,
Sure,
and harming each other is wrong.
sure.
So we recognize that. I mean, I this is not a solipsistic environment. Like, you have your existence, and I honor that, and I have mine, and we have to coexist in this realm.
Mhm.
So, uh,
The reason why this is so important, Sean, and
mm,
in Sean's audience is because we have been blessed with the touch of the whatever force in the universe creates life.
hmm,
And we have been touched by that force. And so has all of the other living things on this planet. And they deserve respect.
that's right.
All living things have a soul, if you want to call it a soul, if you want to call it the animating force which grants life,
Mm,
whatever you'd like to call it. The other living things on this planet, even if you're not a vegan or a vegetarian, if you are somebody who's practices omnivore diet, we should still come to the conclusion that all life deserves the respect of having had or still having life
right.
itself.
Right.
So,
We are part of the creation process itself. Like, we
yes,
are part of that. And we need to remind ourselves that, because the festering rot of Satanism is like nipping at our heels
we
daily.
can fight that festering rot by understanding consent. And when
Right.
somebody says no, we can understand how our rights have been just messed with and treaded on, and making sure that we don't do those things to other people, and that we
Right.
spread a better message of voluntary interaction.
So your rights are right. You own your body,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Period.
not allowed to tell you what to do with it.
That's what I say at the end of every. I mean, I don't have a lot of content at the moment, but at the end of every broadcast or every video, my sign off is, you own yourself. Period. No one else can own you.
Right.
That comes with a lot of responsibility,
That's true.
but you do.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
right.
I own me. You
Yeah,
own you.
that's right.
And I'm not allowed to make you do stuff. And but I am allowed to share my ideas and make suggestions until I'm blue in the face. And then the burden of responsibility falls upon you to be able to think things through, and to make sure that when you make a choice, if you're going to follow my lead for the time being, then you're going to make a choice that doesn't lead to harm, or doesn't initiate harm. Excuse me.
Right. So
That echo.
yeah, sorry about it, everybody. He's trying to mute it out, but he's an old man. He's anyway. Um, so so you own yourself, and no matter what, the only way that you can't own yourself is to be under mind control, right?
That's the only way that you can think that you don't own yourself. There's no force that can actually
That's what I
make
meant
you
to say.
not own yourself, but you can
Exactly.
definitely be tricked into thinking that somebody else is allowed to tell you what to do. And you're definitely able, your mind is definitely able to think that it's okay to pass the buck of responsibility onto somebody else by saying things like, I don't know, I was just following orders, or I was just doing what I was told. These are kind of appeal to authority logical fallacies, this advercundium that a lot of people find themselves falling prey to. See, this is where the public education or indoctrination system comes into play, is because that is the lesson. You are not an expert, you are not an authority, somebody else is, and you best listen to them. So, but at the end of the day, you still own yourself. You still are
Right.
responsible for your actions, no matter who tells you you're not.
Really, it just comes down to they have a ruler and they hit your hand until you comply.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that would
so
be the
that's
ad baculum.
coercion, right?
Mhm. Ad
That's
baculum is a logical fallacy that basically just says that I have a big stick, and if
I
you don't
will
do what I
hurt you,
say, I'm going to hurt you with it.
right? So that's like basically what government does,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what coercion is. And so voluntarism is interactions without coercion. So that
Precisely.
means no, not slavery, right?
Precisely. Yes. Exactly. It is the only ism that is fair for everybody, because it respects consent and free will choices, and it respects natural law instead of uh, government scribbles, man's law.
Right. So you mentioned earlier the non-aggression principle.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to expand on that? Because that's natural law, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, the non-aggression principle is an ethical. I'm just going to read it off the homepage of my website here, voluntaryistacademy.com. The non-aggression principle, or the NAP, we'll call it the NAP. The NAP is an ethical and moral principle that asserts that aggression is inherently immoral and illegitimate. Aggression is defined as the initiation of physical force against persons or property, the threat of such, or fraud upon persons or their property. In contrast to pacifism, though, because this is not a pacifist point of view. The non-aggression principle does not prohibit self-defense. So the fact that governments and their hired mercenaries, the military and the police, routinely violate the NAP proves that they are immoral and their authority is illegitimate. Now, we can follow quickly with the self-defense principle, which means that when you are met with aggressive action and you are an innocent person and somebody aggresses upon your rights, under natural law, God's law, the laws of behavioral consequence that flow through the universe, whether you like it or not, with the self-defense principle, if your rights are being treaded on, you can put a stop to that. You can put that, you can do whatever you physically are capable of doing to put a stop to it.
So the Gadsden flag is basically the warning that
Yeah.
we will put a stop to it. Right.
Yeah. Right. Because it's a timber rattlesnake on the flag. And the story is that King George was sending violent felons from the island of Great Britain back
Like
in
he
the
did to
colonial days.
Australia too.
Right. And he was sending them to the colonies, and as a form of punishment to the not only the criminal, but also to the colonies and the colonists. And Ben Franklin came up with the idea of sending crates of the timber rattlesnake back as a show of like, you've done this to us, well, this is what we're going to do to you. Now the timber rattlesnake is otherwise a peaceful creature, just enjoying its habitat and its environment, and it really doesn't want to do anything but find its food and survive, right? And just live its life and enjoy. But when you go and you invade its territory, and when you go and you, I don't know, step on it, it's going to lash out and it's going to say, fuck you, get away from me. And it's going to give you a warning, actually, that little rattle on its tail. It'll say, hey, you're getting too close. And if you continue, it's going to say, well, you ignored my warning. Here you go. Here's some venom right in your ankle or your leg. Typically, I'd assume you're you're walking on your legs, not your hands.
Yeah. So I mean, Europe and Britain is very well versed in vipers, but they've never seen the rattlesnake before. And that is a great idea. I think that that should have been the policy. I think it
And
should
the
still be the
interesting thing about
policy.
the Gadsden flag, I'm pretty sure predates the Stars and Stripes. And
That's
so,
the
but
real flag, in my opinion. Yeah.
it was a naval flag, if I'm not mistaken. And but I didn't come prepared to discuss the history of the
Yeah, we're
Gadsden
not.
flag.
It's all good. It's all good. No. But I was just bringing up because of the nap. It's a good
Mhm.
example. It's like people
Yeah.
can think in their head, oh yeah, right.
Yep.
So so basically, it's a you are allowed to have your own rights, and no one else can step on those rights, right? I mean, we just not allowed to. We do have these rights, and no one can step on them. We, like rattlesnakes are born with teeth. So are we. So, there is if I am coexisting in this world with you, I have to have a peaceful encounter. Otherwise, it's a predator prey scenario. And that's what the Satanists want. That's what they like to say, the rule of the jungle or whatever. They see themselves as predators, and they like to sneak up unwittingly on the prey. And so this is a mental self-defense against those predators. It's a self-defense against mind control in a way. If you know yourself and you know what your true will is, then if you're acting in that will or not. That know thyself was on the Temple of Apollo. It's one of the most important things to have. And if we are busy like thinking the flag is our boss and we have to do what we say or what they say, then this is more like the mind control. We fall in line, right? But if we know ourselves, then we can check every action we have against our own will and make sure it's voluntary in every action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, go ahead.
you are completely, I would wrap it in quotes, allowed to go and try to commit violent actions and these things against other people.
Right.
But here's the kicker: history teaches us, and this is where the science of this comes in. These experiments have been done, they've been repeated, and the same results have presented themselves. So we know what causes harm and what doesn't cause harm, and we have free will, and we can learn, what those things are, and we can avoid doing them. But that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to use your free will. It just means that if you fuck around, you better be ready to find out. And that's it.
That's
So you can try, but the idea is that we have higher order thinking as the species that we are, and we can choose to do better.
Right.
We can make things better for posterity, and we can
Right.
choose a better way forward.
Right.
Right now
we
I'm
speak
thinking
the
about that
same
quote.
language. We can make contracts. We can
Yeah.
voluntarily agree.
Children understand this stuff.
Right.
And then they are primed to understand this, and they understand it almost in a natural way. Like they come and they're just like, this is the way of the universe, and these are the laws of the universe, and this is what we're going to learn. And then they go to public school, and it's all ripped out of them and replaced with a bunch of garbage that doesn't make any sense. And here we are in 2024, and people still aren't getting it.
Yeah.
So this is the whole purpose of Voluntaryist Academy, is to try to push back and make an effort to make sure that something is there for the future. Like I always think about that quote that Hyacinth Boyson said, at least it's attributed to him, said, "Blessed are those who plant trees for whose shade they will not sit," or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And that's about the future. Think about others. You can't just,
Right. So your show now, you're creating something that's a time capsule for the future to find when they are interested in what is this word voluntarism. They can find this. You make it available online, right? Voluntaristacademy.com.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Here, I'll share that. Here's your website.
Oh, that's some great background photography.
yeah, it's very nice. You're welcome, buddy. I really like your design, by the way. The VA, this is clean, and it's great. I like the idea, and it looks good, and it's like very well displayed, and I like where you're putting it together. And I know that the Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth was like, oh, I'm thinking about this now. Oh, I'm thinking about this now, but this is like, this has a focus, and you want to, like each episode, you have been highlighting specific works that help to teach this idea of non-aggression. And so please tell us about your first episode. You had Lysander Spooner.
Yeah, well, the goal is to take essays and short pamphlet style books for the time being, and convert them and to just read them, and you'll hear them in my voice, and then I'll debrief from time to time and kind of just riff or go over some notes, and to kind of, because of the historical value of these works that I'll be reading. I mean, they do from time to time need a little bit of a facelift. they need to be brought up to date. And like something like Lysander Spooner, his essay on natural law, which is one of by the time this is published, it might still only be the this is very fresh. So we got a long way to go over there. But anyways, that specific essay on natural law by Lysander Spooner was published in the late 1800s. So the goal is to read something like that and then kind of bounce back and just reflect upon it. So,
That's
it'll
great.
be something along those lines,
And it'll keep those things alive in this age of people listening and no one reading books. This is like this is maintaining their Lysander Spooner's voice into our ear instead of on a page in front of us.
Yep.
And it's carrying the reverence that it deserves. So
with and I plan on doing things like I want to read, and it'll be probably chapter by chapter, or maybe lump in a couple of chapters at a time. But I want to bring to the world The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by Charlotte Thompson Iserbyt.
Yeah,
this is going to be the thing. This is going to be a big project, and it's going to be something that my heart is in because of my disdain for the public education system. And I want everyone else to know what I know. I want everyone else to at least be able to hear what I know, and at least have a better understanding as to why I have this vendetta against these people.
Oh, God bless you, man. That's great.
So that's going to be the big thing. And then, that's the goal, is because these are the people that have taken this knowledge away from us,
right,
and have planted something else in its place.
Right.
We don't understand natural law as a whole in the aggregate of society. We don't have this information because of why?
Because it was slavery and coercion. Right. Yeah.
It was stolen from us.
Right.
So when we look out on the streets and we see all the chaos on the news and everything that they want you to think the world looks like, and you believe it because you're under mind control, and the ones that did it to you are the same people that are offering you the present, the prize, the solution. And they're evil.
Right. You're captors, right? Exactly.
They're evil, and my job as a father is to make sure that everything I can do within my power to make a better world for my children is done. That's like great. I said at the beginning, they're going to inherit a future, whether I like it or not. Yeah. And I'm not going to be sitting there going, "Oh, geez, I did nothing." And if they're sitting there going, "What'd you do, Dad, when they were trying to force us to be vaccinated? What'd you do, Dad, when they were trying to force us to go to school, when they did this, when they did that?" And I say, "Oh, I did nothing. I was a coward."
I had green hair. Yeah, dude, I get it. I know. You're putting your feet on the ground, and you're putting them with positive force. Like you're putting you're like, you're not just like, "Oh, what are we going to talk about today?"
Oh, and for the record, I'm not some lazy armchair quarterback. We homeschool our children. Right. Just for the sake of it. I know you know that, Sean. You're my best friend.
Right.
But for the sake of your audience, like, this guy's just a podcaster, lazy guy. No, we homeschool our children, and
we work full time.
I work my ass off to make sure that we're able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not just talking out of my ass here and just, complaining.
No, but being a dad is like kind of important for understanding what the nap is all about. And like, if we have to teach it to a child, then like that brain is like absorbing it the best way it can. Right.
Yeah.
And if we can find a way to teach it to that, like what we love best, then we can definitely translate it into, the words that somebody like we will understand, an adult that is used to having normal words. It's easy for kids to get it, And if we can convince kids like, hey, don't hurt others and don't steal, then maybe we can teach adults too. And I think that being a dad is like is part of being a teacher. I think it's like it helps.
Yeah, and specifically with the non-aggression principle, people might go, but aren't men supposed to be aggressive? And it's like, well, I had an interesting conversation once with Brandon Martin, and we were talking about this word aggression, and
Mhm.
perhaps maybe it's not accurate enough, and maybe there should be a change in it, but um we're not ready to go through with that yet. But I mean, aggression, yeah, you might need to be a little aggressive with your actions if you're in the mode of self defense. But the non aggression principle is not, the word non is the beginning of the word. So it's
Yeah,
non aggression principle, meaning that you're not going to initiate aggression.
right.
And if somebody comes at you with it, you're going to, put a stop to it.
That's
And
right.
so, but as men, we need to be able to know the time and place, and we need to know the difference as the of somebody who really intends to do harm, or somebody who's just making a mistake, because accidents happen in the world. So,
Hmm.
and it's about care, really. Really,
Right.
what it really all boils down to is care.
Right. Yeah. The word itself, voluntary, that's volition,
Mhm.
and that's your will, right? And if you get down to it, like if it gets into the Crowley territory and like your will is what you care, you know, so you love your family and you know that they own themselves. And so your will is to teach them like how to, uh, protect themselves. Your care, you would, if you didn't care, you would just stomp on everybody, right? um, it all comes down to the care, and that's why the Freemasons are the key, and like that's the thing in the top of the when they're going up the ladder, and um, that we need to focus on that. Like, what is really our true volition? What do we really care? And that's part of
Yeah.
knowing ourself, right?
I mean, the basics, right? I mean, probably a lot of people already know this part, but I mean, when it comes down to why even care, like, how,
Good question.
but like, why care? Well, you're alive, god damn it.
Yeah.
You got to live,
Hmm.
like, why even care? Well, because it's the right thing to do. And we don't just do the right thing because we expect a pat on the back or a reward or a trophy, something like that. We just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and caring about things is the correct path to
Right.
take.
Our
You got the
emotions
left.
align with that. Like if
Yeah.
we if we done good, we feel it,
Yeah.
right?
Everybody cares about stuff,
Yeah.
you know, but nobody likes it when something is stolen from them. Nobody likes it when they're assaulted. Nobody
Mm.
likes it when their house is broken into, no matter who it is, no matter what uniform that person's wearing.
Yeah.
No one likes it when they're told what to do and they really don't want to do that thing, but they feel like they have no choice. Name one person that really likes that. Okay. We're not talking about BDSM type people because that's already a consent. You're consenting to
But
that. We're not talking
that's
about
been groomed
boxers.
into them for years. It takes the public
Well,
education system to get them to the level of BDSM. But
well,
anyway,
I'm just saying whatever people like to do behind closed
yeah,
doors,
yeah,
right? That
yeah.
whole thing.
I'm making a joke out of it.
Thank you. I'm just trying to highlight that, the counterpoints to my point could be things along those lines. And we have to just remind ourselves before we make foolish points like that people in those positions have already consented to the behavior in which they're interacting with the other person. And
Right.
that boxers, these types of people, like it's not violence because they consent, they contract to be there, they have safe words, You know, like this is so what we're like what I'm trying to highlight is that
What's the safe word for government? Stop.
there,
No.
you want to know what the safe word for government is? You just said it. No.
Right. Yeah.
And but
And
the
a
only
gun
way
could
that
click. Yeah. Yeah.
but the only way that they're going
Yeah.
to listen is if all of us say it together.
Right.
And unfortunately, not enough people know how not alone they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
So,
mm,
but like, so that's the point.
right.
When somebody says, does the world really need another anarchist or libertarian or voluntarist podcast?
We're all
The
anarchists.
answer
Oh,
is
podcast.
yes.
Yeah, of
The
course.
answer is yes. The answer is
Right.
not until this shit has stopped
Hmm.
can we maybe take a break.
Hmm.
There's no reprieve until
Yeah.
the slavery is gone, and
Yeah.
that's where we need to be. A lot of
Right.
people think this way, Sean. You know it,
Yeah.
I know it. They don't know it. They don't know it.
Yeah.
They think they're alone. I felt alone for a long time.
Right.
I had you, but other
Yeah.
than that, I didn't know that there was
Right.
millions of other people out there as unhappy with the government as I am, that don't like the cops as much as I do, that think taxation is theft.
This
And it wasn't a,
here. So this. I mean taxation. Right. Well, we didn't need to get into that, but this shirt this was from Godspeed You Black Emperor,
Mhm.
and the back of that shirt it says, "Don't bend, ascend. More of us than them."
Yeah.
That's huge. And you're wearing that shirt out in the world. Like if you're on the protesting lines or whatever, you got that on your back. They can all read it. And then you look around like, whoa, everybody agrees with human freedom. Like, it's not like, oh, we need more on our side. Like,
Yeah.
like we are the 99.9999, like, this is like, and we're built with love inside. Like, it's the natural human way of life. Like, this is what, it's just the few Satanists that think they're elites, that we need to rid the world of them. And I guess, I don't know, that's my own opinion.
Well, the thing I would like to the thought exercise I would like to
you
present to people goes a little something like this.
I didn't mean to say what I said.
It's okay.
I want them to change their heads. I don't, everybody maybe can be healed, but
Well, we need to fight their arguments with better arguments. And it's the thought exercise that I was going to bring up goes a little something like this. And this is kind of how I've come to prove natural law exists. Okay. So this is so objective morality means that we're going to get what we deserve. Right. I know you know this. I want to, but I want to ask people if they think that morality isn't objective, if they think that there isn't some sort of force out in the universe that says, oh, you're going to get what you're asking for, right? Why is the world such a shitty place right now? Like if morality doesn't exist, if everything's so relative, then why the hell is the world so crazy? It's it's almost like there's got to be something out there that's giving us exactly what we're asking for, and that is something bigger than man. It's all the proof that we need to know that like our actions matter, and the way that we treat each other matters, and we're going to receive consequences for our actions. So why not act better? And why not just treat each other the way that we want to be treated? you know and that's what I was trying to say with like people have gotten things stolen from them. It doesn't feel great. It's not a good feeling when your house gets broken into, when your car gets stolen, or whatever, on whatever level. You know what that feels like. You know what it feels like. Why would you ever do that to someone else? Why would you ever say that it's okay for some other institution to do it to other people? Why would you ever consent to that? And it's because there's something going on upstairs between your ears that makes you think you're powerless and that you can't do anything to stop it. And I've got news that you're wrong. You have power. You can stop it. We all need to do it together. And all it takes, Sean already said it, the magic word, no. No, thank you, please. I don't want this anymore. That means don't vote. That means don't pay taxes. I used to be scared to tell people that. Fuck it. I'm not. See, I came up with this list, Sean, and kind of wanted to go over it with you. And it's,
Okay.
in my opinion, and what I just went over about, be bold, that's on there. It's a list of steps that anybody can take to become a better voluntarist. And this might just be my opinion, but I think it's pretty well rounded and well thought out. Could we go through that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, like I said, steps to being a voluntarist. Number 1, and this is really important because this is what shows care for others. And without this being the bedrock, the rest of it all falls apart. So number 1 is you need to practice selflessness. And the reason why I stated it like that is because it's a practice, right? We need to have the intention. And that's what I think practicing something means, that you're intentionally doing the thing to find the best way to do it. And that thing is selflessness. So, Sean, you know about the left-hand path and the right-hand path.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the left-hand path is selfish.
Yes.
The satanic path of selfishness.
Ego.
The ego. Right. Exactly. We need to be able to go the right-hand path, which is opposite. We need to be selfless. We need to think of others. And just like I read in the essay on natural law by Lysander Spooner, he says in that, and I'll paraphrase this, that when we're thinking of others and we're acting toward others in a decent manner, they will appreciate that and they will return the courtesy to us. They will have no reason to do otherwise. We've never done harm to them. Why would they do harm to us? It's just everyone can get on that level. That's something, again, that's something
even a rattlesnake
that
will get along with you.
That children understand.
Right.
And it's almost, I've seen it twice now. Okay, I have 2 children. I've seen it twice. Like, they don't really need to be prompted with this. When I've seen, accidents happen. Oh my God, they don't want to cause harm. It's so okay, let's move on because I don't want to get sidetracked.
Sure. But it's natural that they recognize the harm that they've done in others and the regret that they have. Like, it's a natural human thing, and that's what you were expressing.
Yes. And if we can intentionally go the right-hand path, then that's what the universe will respect.
Right.
Because we will be using our free will choice making abilities to intentionally practice a better method of interaction with people. Number 2. I'm sorry, Sean, did you?
No, I was just going to say, that's great how that is the exact opposite way of Satanism. Mm-hmm. And I love how it's first there. And I love how you described that. It's perfect how it deviates in exactly the opposite direction. And if you are thinking of others, then you are not going to be stealing from them. You're not going to be learning how best to be a predator. This is like they like the idea of predator and they seek that, become more predator. This is actually becoming more symbiotic with those around you and choosing the natural path. Like, I always say, in reality, it's not really the way of the predator. Like, predators are like 3% or something of like the entire the entire fauna and flora of the environment. Everything is symbiotic with each other, and only the predators are the outliers. So to be in symbiotic coexistence and to seek a better uh, coexistence with others is the natural way to it's like the insecticide for Satanism. It's perfect. And also the Buddha teaches that, Jesus teaches that. This is like all the religions, they focus on the morality, that
Yes.
morality is the care for others.
Yes. And us as higher order thinking creatures, it's all about our intention.
Right.
And that's what gets us to a better place.
Right.
That's what gets us to attract. Okay. That's the thing
Right.
that gets the consequences. What
Right.
did you intend to do? Okay.
Mhm.
That's what you get back in return.
Right.
So to move on, number two. And there's only seven. There's only seven, and I did that intentionally because
It's
I
all
love the
good,
number
man.
seven.
I got time.
All right.
It's all good.
So number two is own yourself,
Yeah.
both in action and in spirit. Okay, so you need to take responsibility and have accountability for the things that you do and for the things that you think, and so that's basically what I wanted to convey with that.
Good.
Number three, you need to find a way to remain calm in thoughts, emotion, and action. This is a tricky one because there's also something that comes to mind, the idea of righteous indignation. But that doesn't mean that the anger turns into flying off the handle and acting the fool. It doesn't mean that you turn into some wild beast of a man or woman. It means that in order to remain calm, even within that emotional state, that you are able to come back on top of that emotion, that the emotion of anger isn't going to control you, that you will remain in control of it,
Your
and you'll be
will
able to
is in
use anger
control.
as a tool, as a weapon, to
Oh.
defend yourself and to make things right, to course correct whatever is going on. But this is about finding the thoughts, emotions, and actions, being able to remain calm in those states is about bringing harmony to the self.
Hmm. That's a very big weakness for a lot of us, is we will like certain things will give us an emotional response and then we will act, and that action might not be our true will. It
Right.
might be what was conditioned into us by the schooling or whatever, the mind control, the TV. uh, so that's important to be willful in your actions, because
It goes
then
along with the self ownership. It goes
right.
along with the previous one, number two, about owning yourself. This is
Right.
how you're able to really fulfill that obligation of remaining accountable for your actions.
Right.
And
And
it's
owning
it's about,
yourself is the beginning of all rights. Right.
right, having that harmony of thoughts, emotion, and action is really about self-respect
Right.
and treating
Yeah.
yourself the way that you'd want others to treat you,
Hmm.
and then we'd be able to treat others the way that you'd want them to treat you. And it's about attaining the things that you need in order to give to others, so it all works together.
Right. Symbiotic. Right.
And that
Right.
leads us to number four, which is think things through. When you're about to go through with an action, you got to think about it. Does this action lead to the initiation of harm to another living person,
Good. Yeah. I
to
like that.
another sentient being even?
Hmm.
Does this action does are my thought like, geez, do I think about my thoughts? Am I thinking about my thoughts? Because if my thoughts are going to inspire my emotions and my actions are the physical manifestation of my emotions, then perhaps
Hmm.
maybe I should think about my thoughts for a little bit. That's called
Hmm.
meditating, Holmes. That's philosophizing.
Everybody
You
can
know,
do that, right? Yeah.
so I mean, we have to be able to use our brains. We're going to build intellectual self-defense by thinking things through.
Right.
Am I making correct choices?
Then that
Am
goes
I,
back with your responsibility, because you want to be
accountability?
accountability. You want to be, you got to think about the future of how this is going
Right.
to,
Are these
am I going
thoughts
to
even
harm
my
someone
own?
in the future with this action, this thing
Are
that I'm
these
doing
thoughts,
now? Yeah,
yeah, are these thoughts even my own? That's
that's
what I
right.
mean about thinking of your thoughts.
That's
Are
why the
you are you at the wheel? Or is somebody else doing it? Are you Maggie in the back seat of the Simpsons car and you're steering thinking you're in control of the vehicle when somebody else is actually driving the fucking thing?
yeah,
Think
yeah.
about it.
That's the real problem. That's the real problem.
You gotta
And we
think.
talked about it on your show a long time ago.
Yeah,
Mind control is the only problem?
is
Question
it?
mark. Right?
Is
It
it?
is though, but
Is the
it
answer is
is.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
mind control is the only problem. What goes on in between your ears, upstairs
Right,
in your brain,
right,
whether or not you're the one actually in control up there,
right,
that is the problem. And
right.
the problem is that yes, a lot of the majority of population of people on this planet are in mind control.
Yeah, they vote.
Yeah, they vote. They vote. Like the cliche thing to say is
Dude.
that human humans are of such poor quality that we need to vote for humans that are of equal poor quality to tell the poor quality people what they can and cannot do. What?
Right. Yeah. Oh,
um,
and because I voted, that means they're allowed to do that to me because I've
right.
made a check mark. So that's my
Yeah.
consent, I guess.
When I
Oh,
was
go
a
ahead.
kid,
Stomp on me. I'm not a snake anymore. Go ahead. Yeah.
when I was a kid, I saw the George Carlin bit about voting, and it stuck with me. Like the people who vote tell the people who don't vote that we aren't allowed to complain. I like to think about it the other way around because you're the ones that you're getting what you fucking asked for,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting over here saying I don't want any of this. I don't want to be on the hook for consenting that your property gets stolen from you
Exactly. It's
because I
immoral
don't
to
want
vote.
my property stolen from me and I don't like it when people do that to me. So I'm not going to say that other people are allowed to do it to you.
Right. So therefore, you would never vote. That would be an
Why?
immoral thing to do. To
Just enslaving my neighbor.
right. Hmm.
And I like my neighbor and I wish he would stop doing that to me.
Yeah.
So I go and I talk to him and I say it to people, which brings us right to number 5 on my list of steps here.
Mhm.
Number 5, speak the truth, not
Well,
my truth
well,
or no,
that makes me
the truth.
uncomfortable. What do you mean?
The truth. There
Hmm.
is truth. There is it's objective.
That's
Again,
interesting.
there it is there. It does exist. It's
Right.
there are your look, we are having a subjective experience in an objective reality. And we need to
Right.
be able to
The tree
harmonize
falls in
with
the woods whether we're there or not. Like it
right,
fell, dude.
right.
Accept it. Right.
So
Right.
the goal should be to get in good terms with reality and to meet it and to reconcile your differences with it and to say
Mm,
okay, I'm going to harmonize with reality and I'm going to make a better, more concerted effort to live in reality because
live. Right.
that's the only way to really live.
Hmm.
Otherwise you're dreaming,
Right.
and
And that
so
speaking of that, to the speaking real truth
mhm.
reminds others, oh yeah, that illusion that I hear all day, every day is fake. And
Well,
then, they will resonate because they'll hear that truth. They'll be like, bing, oh yeah, me, yeah, I get that. Yeah. But then the TV has to go all day, every day to tell you like weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass,
right, and that's the thing, Sean, is they're speaking lies.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to speak the truth.
Right.
We live in a plane of existence where vibration rules the roost. Everything is vibrating constantly. And the way that we manifest reality is through thoughts, but the way that we actually inspire thought is through speech. So we need to speak the truth to make sure that when people receive that vibration, that it's a positive one, because truth is a positive vibration. Lies is a negative vibration. Lies are the rot, where truth is the growth.
Right.
Truth is where it's at, folks. So that's why we need to speak it, because we're literally sending vibration through our voice. We're sending vibration out into reality, where others, they're going to be able to receive the signal.
And they're receiving a signal of growth and not rot.
They're receiving noise. They're
well,
not
no,
receiving
from you are going to offer them
Yes.
the growth signal
Yes.
instead of the rot of the lies or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, if you're resonating with this truth, they will be able to, I mean, others will resonate with it. Like I said, more of us than them, you know. Godspeed had the right idea. They're anarchists too. And really, to speak it is to align with others that are human. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
we need to resonate that vibration together and sing the same song of growth, right? And we need to use our voice to engender that in their minds. Like, this is how we create more growth, you know, to give that into their heads before they even have a thought, before the thought that we can give them a word, you know.
Well, it's more, it would be, the way I would put it would be to call back to something that we mentioned earlier about people feeling alone. It's through the speech and the speaking of truth and addressing the situation for what it really is. It's going to break that's going to break down the barrier of loneliness, and it's going to inspire people to understand that they are not alone, and that they can also speak, and that it's acceptable to speak.
Right.
It makes me think of this situation back in the masking days, where I didn't wear a mask in the store and everyone else was. And somebody said to me, "Man, you have a lot of balls. I wish I had enough courage to do that." And I
to have a face.
And I looked right at this guy and I said, "You do, and you can. Just take it off."
Yeah.
And he looked back at me like, it's not that simple. I read his eyes, and it was the eyes of somebody that was hurt by the truth, because they knew it was true and they wanted to act, and they felt like
they're a slave.
They felt like that they were going to be ostracized. They
recognized their slavery. They recognized in that, oh, that's my border. Oh, I am a kept animal. And then it's looking out from beyond the fence at you, being free, like, oh, I wish I could just walk through this fence, or, you know, take this thing off. Like, but their will, the mind control is so gone. And so the only way to fix that is to give them the speech, you know. So you gotta, and this is what's great about the podcast, is that you can say it once into a microphone and then you can share it 1,000,000 times, you know, so it can hit 1,000,000 ears, and it's just wonderful technology. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the sixth one.
Yeah, that's how that is the path to manifesting a preferable reality. Like it says in the Bible, on the first day God spoke.
Right.
Reality is spoken into existence.
Right.
Okay. So number 6, and for the
Even,
record,
even the machine elves told that to, like they would be making objects with their speech and giving it to. So anyway,
yeah,
even the machine elves know it. So
for the
go ahead.
record, I'm not the most religious person in the sense that, in the sense of organized religion. Okay. I'm not an
Mhm.
atheist by any stretch of the imagination, but my understanding of faith and spirituality has led me to understand that congregating and doing things a certain way seems a little counterintuitive. It seems a little out of line with where the teachings are really trying to lead someone.
Yeah, that
Um,
whole the dogmas and the hanging your hero up all bloody and looking at him
yeah,
every day, like that's some mind control, dude. We don't
and
need to get into
I
that.
think that
Yeah,
Jesus was right when he said, worship God. Your body is the temple.
right,
Wherever you find time and space in your
right.
life to worship God,
And
that's
then
where
Rome gave you his body all destroyed and ripped apart by what Rome does to
yeah.
his body, right?
And
Oh,
I just recognize
this
God
guy
as
thinks he
the
owns his body. We'll tear it apart. Do what Rome says.
yeah,
Drink the blood. Never mind.
yeah.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
But me, I recognize God as, like I mentioned early on in the show tonight, that God is the force in the universe that animates life,
Right. I
all
agree
life on
with
all
that too.
levels, and
Yeah.
that's what I respect as God.
Right.
I don't
Right.
try to anthropomorphize an omnipotent
I know.
force in the universe, and
Right. It's
to
silly.
think that I'm so hubris to think that God looks like me or anything like that. I'm not sure about those things. I'm pretty agnostic about God itself, but I understand God to be the force in the universe that animates life on all levels.
Right.
And also is the creator of natural law.
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Well,
so
it gave us the creator of natural law because it gave us all nerve endings to feel pain
yeah,
and pleasure.
yes,
And we have the knowledge that you have those nerve endings, so I'm not gonna cause pain because I know what pain is.
right.
I don't like it.
Why would I want to do that to someone else?
That's
I've
right.
experienced getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
I've been kicked in the face.
Yeah.
I've had my things stolen from me. Why would I want to? Wow, that's what that feels like. I
Right.
wonder. I'm
Yeah.
gonna assume that that's what it feels like for other people. I'm not gonna do that. That sucks.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Number
I'm not even
six.
going to talk about that. Yeah, go ahead. Number 6. Where are we at?
um, Number 6. Be bold. Be courageous. Okay, because courage begets courage, and when other people see you acting courageously, they're also going to want to act courageously.
Want
There,
to take off their mask.
it's
They,
almost as if it's um some sort of social permission
hmm,
in a sense, where the idea is that, oh, I didn't know I didn't know I could do that there. I didn't know I could do that. Huh. I've seen it be done. I've seen boldness. I've seen courage. I know what it looks like. I too can act bold. I too can act courageously.
fortune favors the bold.
Yes, indeed it
Hmm,
does.
right.
And that is a part of our purpose here, is to stand up and say no, or else everything else falls apart when
Right.
our rights are being violated.
And you got to be bold to say no
If we're not
because,
standing up and saying no to the violation of our rights, the universe is going to say, that's your choice.
okay,
And
you want to be
here are the
prey?
consequences.
Yeah, then, well, you can be eaten too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, yeah.
So,
The world is being churned under. The world is choosing to be prey because the mind control. It's so sick. I mean, this voluntarism is the like antidote. Like it's really I'm glad that you're focusing that. But go ahead, please. What's the next step?
Oh, well, I just wanted to highlight, again, I mean, these last few years, I mean, we saw a lot of people not speaking up until it was until it seemed okay or cool to do it, right? Where were you back when your channel could get freaking demonetized or
Right.
blacklisted or erased? Where were you when
Right.
you could have lost your job? Where were you when you could have had your fucking children taken away from you? When your family ostracized you, when you could have been, everyone in your life could have turned their back on you. Where were you? You didn't say anything because you were a coward.
Hmm.
And the universe is going to look at that and say, you're going to get what you deserve. It doesn't play favorites. Justice does not play favorites in the eyes of the universe. It
Hmm.
doesn't play favorites. So this
Yeah.
is why we need to be courageous. This is why we need to be bold.
Right.
Okay. And
The mind control wants us to sit on our hands
yeah.
and, oh, Q will fix it for us. And, oh, well, we can just call the cops. Or, oh,
Yeah.
somebody will fix it. Like there's injustice in the street and everybody's got their
Right.
phone. They're
Right. So
recording with their phone. What,
yeah.
they could all be the hero, but they're just, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. This dude's getting stepped on by a cop for 8 minutes. And there's like a woman who's like yelling at him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why doesn't anybody just push the cop off? What the heck, dude? 8 minutes and all those people were sitting just watching, yelling, watching. Like, you can't push a cop. Come on. You're going to save the dude's life. Like, what happened? Okay.
Right.
Oh, you get sent to jail for pushing a cop. Okay.
Look, it doesn't
Saved a
matter if the dude,
life.
it doesn't matter what drugs the dude was on, if he would have overdosed anyways.
Well,
That's
yeah,
beside
that
the
all,
point.
but yeah, that's just
That's beside
this
the
is a
point.
hypothetical. Well, I mean,
Right.
I guess
I'm
it's
just thinking
hypothetical,
about
but
like
this is
what
just an example that I'm giving, right?
I'm just thinking about what people might be like, this dude's like thinking, and it's like not like that. The fucking guy was on drugs, and no, it's like,
Doesn't
no,
matter.
Sean's got it right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is that like the dude was being violently assaulted,
Right.
for no reason.
Dude, half the
And
what all of us are on drugs, like all the time. Like, who are you to say, like, like, oh, he was on drugs, he's supposed to die now. F you, dude. Like, who are these people? Anyway, I'm sorry.
it's
Go ahead.
okay. It's all right.
It really
I
bugs me
wanted
that
to.
people like they feel like, oh, now that dude's allowed to die because he was fighting the cop. He was trying to pass a $20 bill. Oh, and he was on drugs. Ooh. So they're just going to film it and let him get like stepped on, you know? And there's like some nurse is like yelling at the cop, I'm a nurse. That's gonna kill him. And she's just yelling.
Just yelling, no action.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to, we talked a lot about speech.
Hmm.
That's great. That's a great
Speech
way to
only
that's a
goes so
great way
far.
to influence your environment in a
Hmm.
peaceful way.
Right.
But there comes a time where the speech doesn't work anymore and you have to use your physical actions. That's why being courageous.
Right.
Courage doesn't mean fearlessness. Courage does, well, I mean, in the dictionary, it would tell you that, but really
No,
what acting
no.
courageously is standing in the face of fear and doing
Yeah,
what's right in the face of fear.
that's right.
It's not
Having the fear and having the will
recognizing
to,
it and being able
yeah,
to be balanced in your emotions and your thoughts and your actions well enough to understand what's going on, not
right.
be overcome with the emotion of fear, not be overcome with being in that base level mentality in the ego and fight and flight. It's being able to think things through
Hmm.
quickly and saying, I know what to do, and I'm going to push the guy off the other guy regardless of their clown uniform.
Who cares if
Regardless.
I got to go to jail for 6 months because I
Uh-huh.
assaulted, in quotes, an officer? Okay. Oh, Jesus. Fucking Zoom. Anyway, I put my fingers up in the air and now there's balloons. I'm sorry. I hate Zoom.
It's okay.
Anyway,
Balloons are
anyway,
cool, man.
I
Everyone likes
guess
balloons.
I when they got nitrous in them, they're good. Anyway,
Yeah.
so like the everybody can be a hero in the situation. You can't just wait for someone
Mhm.
else. Like everybody stands around. Who's gonna help? Oh, you're gonna yell some more? Oh, you're gonna let's
Right.
do a video. right. The internet will be so mad
Well,
when, when they
if I
see
may
this.
cut
Go
in,
ahead.
if I may cut in,
Please,
you
please.
highlighted something very important there. You highlighted the bystander effect.
Hmm.
And what, for the audience, what that is picture in your head, this is the best way I could ever describe it. Picture in your head you and 9 other people, 10 in total, standing around in a circle. In the center of the circle, there's one person on the ground being violently assaulted by somebody on top of that person. So you and the 9 other people, 10 in total, are all standing there watching this, and each of you are just waiting for another person to make the first move to stop it.
You're
Okay.
all complicit in the
Who's going to
evil.
be first? I'll do it if, and no one is speaking. There's
Mm,
not even any eye contact. It's just a thought. So that's called the bystander effect. Courage is overcoming things like that and saying it doesn't matter if I'm the only one to act, because I know it's right and I know it's wrong, and I'm going to act right regardless, because it's the right thing to do. Period. The end.
that's
End of
right.
story.
That's right. Oh, wait, he's on drugs though. You can let that cop step on his neck. It's okay.
Oh, he's on fentanyl.
Yeah,
It's fine to let him
that's fine.
die.
He
It's
cried
cool.
for his mommy and peed. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Right.
I hate this world. So it really bugs me. And
I
and
I
you
know.
know,
I know. I know.
and so like the black bloc people were tearing apart the cities because of that. And now like they're letting the cops roll in when people are saying, "Hey, don't do genocide." It's like people need to pay attention. This America is the great Satan, anyway.
Unfortunately, I mean, it
Yeah.
didn't have to be, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, right now it kind of is.
But
I
we
mean,
like sorry.
the violence and the wrong will never stop if we don't have the courage to do something. I mean,
Yes.
speech is where it starts. Speech is what I will always try to remind people and influence people to partake in. And that's the most peaceful way to put a stop to violence, is say, this is not right. Draw attention to the situation and make sure that other people know. That's what Gandhi
Right.
said. The world is watching. And that's how Gandhi was able to have India liberated from British control, is
Right.
the world saw what was going on, and everyone was like, that's fucked up. And the Great Britain had no choice but to run away yet again with their tail between their legs from another place that they tried to have their empire in control of. So it goes to show that even one man can make a difference if you have the courage to start with speech. If you see something like that and no amount of speech is working, physical action is necessary, period.
Right.
And unfortunately, sometimes that leads to some really, really undesirable outcomes. But it's not about us. This is about being selfless. This is about making sure that the future also experiences comfort. When we
Right.
see tyranny, we must speak out against it, act out against it.
Yeah,
So,
the meme of it's got the founding fathers, and it says we'd have been stacking bodies by now. I just love that meme. Like, for real though, it's like it is
there's
total
truth.
tyranny right now.
Yeah. But
And
that
it's
leads us to number 7,
go ahead.
the final step on the list here that I've got. Uh, and we can recognize tyrants by those who we can recognize tyrants, because these are the people that will not that will not do number 7. Okay. Number 7 is, don't steal anything, either spiritual or material.
Mm,
Don't steal. Don't advocate for other people to steal on your behalf.
because that is harm.
That is the initiation of harm. And
Right.
we all, well, hey, you and I are friends with Mark.
Yeah,
A
right.
lot of people on your show are
Mark
familiar with him.
Passio, by the
Yeah,
way,
Mark
for the
Passio.
listeners. Yeah.
And there's a lot to take in with his work. But one of the most crucial things in his work is he really highlights in a very good way the transgressions against natural law all boil down to different forms of theft. And if we could avoid doing those actions with our own free will, picture everything that we just spent the last hour going over, this whole list. If we can avoid stealing all the forms of theft, right? What are they? Murder, rape, assault, trespass, coercion, deception, and actual theft. Okay, there's 7 of them, which is why I wanted to reflect that in my list of 7. I have a lot of respect for Passio's work, and 7 has always been a special number to me. Anyways, I've got the septagrams tattooed on my shoulders for the last like 20 years. So
Right.
like, you know, it's a very special number to me. Anyways, but what I just laid out, those 7 actions, those are the different forms of theft. So if we can
Yes.
just avoid doing those, and when we see other people doing those things intentionally, if they're intentionally doing those things, they're tyrants.
They're the
And we got to
predator.
stop them.
That's right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We got to be like the Koreans on the rooftop.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
sure.
Sure. So it takes, you know, somebody being bold. I mean, those dudes on the rooftop, like, they are remembered and they weren't infringed upon. Like, their stores were fine and everybody left them, and then people respected them. And I think that's the true way of the universe. You know, if everybody was like that, then LA wouldn't look like it does now. It's an empty shell. I mean, there's nothing, because people just comply with the evil, and then it just gets gutted, and you know, it's all festering decay now, because everybody's complying with the it's okay, they can steal, it's okay, they can steal, and it just goes and goes, and then it's just like we live in this. So the only way to do that is to not make more of it.
Right. And I was gonna add there, it's all right, they can steal. It's not even that. It's people are going, oh, I didn't do it. I'm not on the hook for that bad behavior. It's like, no, you are. You voted for them.
Right.
Like you voted for them. Like you tacitly advocated for this theft.
They're just doing what they're told.
This is
go into that booth and vote. Okay.
So that is the perfect way to explain the spiritual quality of theft. It's complying and consenting to it. Yeah.
It's all good. We can pause. It's all good.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, okay. He just wants a shirt.
Just wants to,
love you, buddy. That's great.
Yeah. So that's the spiritual quality of theft, is when you're sitting there going, well, I didn't do that, but you're voting for the people, you're consenting to it from a distance,
right?
And you're saying that it's okay in one way or another that your neighbor gets stolen from, because it's not you doing it, but you still consent to it. I don't want to talk in circles here, because it's very easy to do so. And
but I mean, people are like, oh, tax the rich, you know, like,
pay your fair share.
Like, what, dude?
But the thing is that like somebody still has to be there to decide what the fair share is.
Right.
Like, you don't have the right to control what other people do until those other people are committing violent actions upon you, and you can't go and ask other violent people to step in to stop the first group of violent people. You can't do that. That's how the mafia runs.
Right. And they always work together. Works. I mean, church and state, like, it's always been, you know, like, that's why the founding fathers were like trying to separate and keep it separate, because like it goes very badly. Look at Europe. Like, I mean,
it's coming our way, bro.
Yeah, dude.
It's coming right. It's coming our way.
Yeah.
It's on our front door. It's
Yeah.
at our front door, dude.
And so, like, in order to maintain freedom, that God-given freedom that the founding fathers tried to remind us that we have, uh, we, and you and I are trying to remind people that too.
Yeah.
We have the rights. It is ours. Like, we don't need to ask. We can go push that cop off that dude's neck. And then we don't have to go burn down a building because we're mad about, oh, I let some cop kill that dude. And I have anger about it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like,
And they should be angry about it because
of course,
their inaction led to a, you know, otherwise innocent man being
right.
murdered.
And they feel the
I
guilt.
mean, and they can have as many autopsy reports as they want, saying otherwise, but there was completely no need at all in any way, shape, or form, in any reality that these solipsists can muster up, where kneeling on somebody's neck for 8.5 minutes is necessary. It's not.
He
It's
peed on
completely
himself
unnecessary.
and called for his mother.
And
Like,
if we're really
whoa.
gonna think about this, think it through on this one, if it weren't for like the Federal Reserve notes that the guy was counterfeiting in the first place, which are counterfeited in the first place, then we wouldn't even be talking
Exactly.
about this. If we had a real free trade, then we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Right.
These immoral actions, Sean, they compound upon one another. And when we think about history, we can look back, and with a conscious mind, look back through history, and you'll understand what I'm saying. These
Yeah.
immoral actions, they compound upon one another. They
Yeah.
lead to more immoral action. We need to stop it. We need to start somewhere in that stopping process. And that's
Right.
right now. That's
Have a
this
line.
year. It's actually 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It
I
was
know.
when it started, was when the
But
time was to stop it
we
and
need
say
to have a
no.
line where we know that this is okay. I'm not putting up with this anymore.
Yeah.
And then once it goes past that line, act on it, dude. Don't just keep taking it, because then you're the bitch, you know? Like,
Hmm.
nobody wants, like, really. This is not, the line is your body, the line is your home. They cannot, you know what I'm saying? That you need to
Right.
stand up somewhere. And that dude with the mask on his face looking at you with the, oh, if only I could be free, you know? Those are the people that are going to be calling the
I
Agent
made him think
Smith, you know? Well, at least he did
with
that, right?
the power of voice.
Right,
I made him think,
right.
and whether those thoughts were his own, however you want to really analyze the language I'm choosing to use, that's up to you.
Yeah,
But I inspired thought,
yeah.
and
And that's really, I mean, it's, you're putting a real good thing in the world, and you're pushing that in every action, you know? If you can, in that little action, say, you can too, buddy,
yeah.
take it off. Like, if you didn't say that, he wouldn't be going home thinking about it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like in his head now the next day. I was saying that we need to have a line, and we need to have teeth, and to be that rattlesnake, because
Yeah.
they are treading hard.
Yeah.
And people just comply. Oh, it's okay. They're people even let them into their skin. That whole
Yeah.
campaign over those 2 years, I mean, they were like, just let us in with these two, just like fangs, like
Yeah.
they
If it were
themselves
two,
were
yeah.
were a viper,
That's like
like,
I said to a loved one of mine when I got them to show me their card
oh
when
man.
they and they're, oh, it's only two. Well, then why are there four slots? Why are there four spots if there's only two for this specific thing? Why are there only,
Mm.
if there's only supposed to be two, why are there four spots? So
And why do you comply with two?
because
Why does
two
the
is two
magic
magic number,
want two?
right?
Yeah, because one could be a mistake. One, you
Yeah, yeah,
feel it and like, oh, yeah, I don't want that. It gives you the choice to choose no. And then you go back for the other and they're like, you really want this? Okay. And this, like, that absolves them of all their guilt, you know?
yeah,
So, like, it is consented that we wanted it. And now I'm going to be doing a show with William
yeah.
pretty
Send my
soon.
regards to
It's
William, by
good.
the
I
way.
will. I will. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it started with our Black Pill #1.
yeah.
And, we're still talking about it. Like, I'm going to be talking about it with him this month. So
The
it's
important thing
still
that the
happening.
the important thing that the audience needs to take away from this idea is like when you say we consented, it's the
Yeah.
universe doles out like it's going to give us what we want, right?
Mm,
Like, and okay, you asked for this. That's what I think Sean means by that. It's like when
right.
he says we, it's like as a species, yeah, we agreed to this. We didn't do
Right.
enough to stop it. Like, you
Right.
know,
But I mean, specifically the listener, if you took two of the thing that we're talking about, whatever, if you took two of them, they gave you a chance to say no. Even Eric Clapton, like, his hands
yeah.
didn't work and he went and got another one.
Now he's really slow hand.
Yeah. Anyway, like, but I mean, that is what it takes. It takes your consent. This whole realm of reality is
Yeah,
consent reality. And the
yeah,
whole magic of mind control is to win your consent.
yeah.
So this is to have control of your consent. If you control your will and you own your body, this is how to live, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's only I mean, in terms of like the jabs, there's only so much anyone really could have done, right?
Well, yeah,
And at least in terms of peaceful protest, that but it's the line in the sand that everyone's too afraid to cross because we all feel alone. If we unify, if we come together and we say no together, the energy that is the energy that is just consolidated. I mean, not consolidated, but what's
everybody can
I can't think of the
recognize
word.
it. Everybody can recognize, like, all beings can understand the rights are infringed and that you're standing in your power to say no. And all of together will,
Concentrated. The
yes,
concentration of energy will make a difference,
right.
and whatever the outcome is, right? It's like that we'll get what we need. If we're acting right, we'll get what we need, and the right things will happen for us, and that's how it works out.
I think
And
so. It has been happening.
I think so. I think
Yeah,
I mean synchronicity is a very real thing. It's a very
yeah,
powerful thing, and it happens.
that's
When you're
right.
acting right, you get the right stuff. I mean, I was just thinking. See the bookshelf behind me? I
Yeah.
was just thinking the other week. I was talking to my wife, and I was like, "Oh man, it would be nice if I could find a bookshelf that could fit underneath my desk here, because I have this nice, L-shaped desk, and I only use like my feet only go under this portion here because I'm always clacking away at the keyboard." And I got this other space over here. I'm like, what if I had a nice little bookshelf under there, to have my books,
Hmm.
the overflow from the old bookshelf. Well, I found a bookshelf, right? But it wasn't
Yeah.
the size I really wanted for this location.
Hmm.
And this is a material thing. It's material, example, but it's an example of synchronicity nonetheless. I must have been doing something right because I was thinking about I need a bookshelf, and next thing you know, a few days later, within a week, like a bookshelf is presented to me.
Yeah, dude. Like, that's, like with the internet at my old place. I was telling Jennifer, I was like, if anybody says fiber optic internet in this neighborhood, tell me. Like, yell it at me. And then she's like, okay, whatever, dude. Because, like, I was sick of the cable internet.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like, someone, like, it was like the same day someone knocked on our back door. Like they went up the stairs on the back door. That's not even the front of the house. And they knocked on the back door to the kitchen. And they were like, here, we got fiber optic here. I was like, wow. And they had like this deal where it was like $25 a month. And it was like, whatever. And I was just like amazed. And it just like, it came knocking on my door. So like, that dude had the will of his own, but somehow it aligned and the universe found us to, um, so I think my speaking it out made it, help to manifest that, because like really we do, I believe that if we're not infringing on others, then we resonate with this power like that. I mean, like,
Well, I
it's
mean,
synchronicity works with you. It's amazing.
the free, like the free will component, right, is like the random aspect, and this goes back to like something that Mark Passio has taught us,
Right, right.
and many other people have also, in not so many words, put it this way, that natural law is like the deterministic one. Like you will have a consequence. There will be a consequence, right or wrong, good or bad. There's going to be a consequence, right? Consequence. That word is usually thought of very negatively. Like, oh, those are the
Con
consequences,
sequence, like
right?
it's like got that con.
But I mean, I'm sure there's probably a different word in the English language. But
Hmm.
I mean, there are good consequences too. Like when you're
Hmm.
acting right, there's
Right,
good consequences. You see,
right.
so but free will does exist, right? So we get to choose, and the universe is like, oh yeah, you get to choose. Sure, free will exists, and you're gonna get what you deserve, though.
Right. But
And
if you,
synchronicity
right.
is the intersection of paths. Okay, all the different paths of free will, as far as human interaction go, when you have synchronicities and stuff like that with other people, not material things. That's something completely on a different level. But when we have all of our different free wills, synchronicities are different intersections where your free will and my free will have set us on these paths that are going to meet. And
Hmm.
maybe if we can recognize it, we will meet at just the right moment for a purpose. There's a
That's right.
purpose for it, you know and we live within this very purposeful reality.
Seems like
and
learning is the purpose.
we're supposed to be able to use our free will to navigate this very purposeful reality. The
Mm.
reality exists on purpose.
Right, right.
So the idea would be to tread lightly through this reality and to make sure that we aren't making it worse for other people. And the least we could do is just kind of get their consent,
Right.
I guess,
Yeah.
when
It's
we're
weird to
when we're
think like,
interacting with them.
yeah, it's weird to think that that asking, like actually having consent with volition with interactions is weird. Like, I mean, this whole world has been slavery this whole time. We've been like evolving into not slavery slowly, you know? And I think that um, when we recognize our abilities to say no, and we recognize that it is infringement on our natural rights. We're born here. We're allowed to have this body. Like we're this. I own this thing. I am, and it's my will to not have it be harmed in any way. So um, yeah, I guess we could go like I could go on and on about this, but this really is. It's great that you have found this core sentiment for your podcast, and now your ship has a rudder and it's like it's aiming in a direction, and I very much agreeing with it, and I'm happy to see where you're going. And I'm glad to see voluntaristacademy.com is a thing, and everybody should visit voluntaristacademy.com. And is there anything that we, also, you, well, actually let you talk about it. Go ahead. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
Um,
I don't think that I'm missing anything, but
I don't think so.
I was thinking like, oh, because I always had a problem with like promoting the work, and like, and you're always like, oh, talk about Black Pill, and I'm like, oh, there's got to be something, but I guess no,
Oh,
it's all
this year,
Voluntarist Academy. Okay,
yeah.
yes, you were invited to a thing, yes.
There's going to be a conference at the end of this year that you can expect my name to be involved with
Right, but it's
in
not.
some capacity,
It hasn't
and
been.
it
Okay,
hasn't been formally
I
announced
see. I
yet
see.
or anything like that, but it's in the works, and I
Right,
have been invited to be a speaker there,
fantastic.
and I'm really looking forward to cooking up something really nice to present this information as
That's
in a
great.
more formal setting. And other than that, I would really, really love it if people came over to voluntaristacademy.com, check it out. I mean, the website is really simple, but the content is where the real value comes
Right.
in. And if you find it valuable, the most easy way to really support a channel like mine and help it go and grow would be to just give it a like, turn on the notifications, subscribe to the channel. All of these really weird, you know, panhandling type of
But it
things that I
shows
feel, you know,
that,
that I feel
but
honestly awkward to ask for, but it just that is the name of the game.
right.
It's
It's
just
how to
how
get
it
more
goes.
ears on it. That's
If
how to
you
get more
Yeah,
ears. Right.
if you'd like to you know, contribute something, you know, otherwise I offer t-shirts. I'm wearing one right now.
That's a
And
great design, by the way. The VA. That,
you know,
yeah.
and the black is supposed to, it represents the absence of a state, so the absence of a government, and the yellow represents the free market. So we're able to trade and contract with one another and really make sure that we understand consent and volition, and make sure that we're not violating each other's rights, and that if you have something that I need, and I have something that you want, and we're able to trade those things together without anybody telling us that it's wrong to do so. And if there's a currency involved there where people in a concentrated population have agreed that one thing is of value clear across the board, then they have the right to do that. And that, you know, we can also trade in that way. I like to consider a currency of that nature, sound currency of that nature, to be the great equalizer. So say there's already somebody
Mm.
coming by to pick up my trash this week. All right. And you're also a trash man, but I'm the only tomato guy in town. Right. What am I doing hanging out with all these trash men? This is ridiculous. So, but anyways, I've already got that base covered, but you still need tomatoes. Maybe there should be something introduced into the market where everyone has a fallback plan. Maybe
Right.
there is a push and an influence there to come at it from an agoristic point of view first, where we're going to trade skills and we're going to trade abilities, and we're going to make sure that that is where we come at it first. Maybe that's moral. Maybe that's
Mm.
more moral, but maybe we should have a backup plan. What's wrong with that? So
Yeah.
long as it's sound and people that don't agree with it have the option to go and do something else.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that's not what
And
we have in the current you know, Federal Reserve system that we have. Like,
yeah.
it's not what we have. It's not voluntary. It's neither federal or a reserve, as many have come to know it
Right.
as.
It's a
These
system
notes
of
are
slavery.
they're meaningless slips of paper that only represent slavery,
Right.
and that's it. But
That's why it's a talisman. It's
yeah,
magic. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's why my shirt, my symbol, you know, my what would you call it?
Icon.
Icon,
Yeah.
the the uh
Yeah.
the logo,
Yeah. That's
the
great.
uh the sigil
Sigil. Right.
is yellow and black,
Right.
and a I would I sell these shirts. You know, they're nice. So
That's
go
good.
and buy
Where's
me.
the website for
Oh,
that?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can go to voluntaryistacademy.com
Oh, you
and then
can get
just
them from the
go to the
shirt from
top,
that
and
website.
there's
Okay.
an option to go to the store there because it's powered through Teespring.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe we can put a link to that in your show notes there so that
Yes.
it's like one click away. But if they want to
That's what I meant to
explore,
do. Because I'm
yeah,
used to having like a separate thing, and but your website allows for that where you can.
yeah,
That's good. I'm not used to having website. Um,
we're, we're working
so
on changing that, folks. By the way,
yes. Thank you, James.
I a while back I purchased wakethedead.com as like a way to secure it for Sean, and then I
God bless you,
forgot.
James. I love you, bro. Like I was looking for other stuff. I was like, wakethedead.net. Well, that'd work. Oh, wakethedead dot
So
whatever.
I was going through some like some digital paperwork, if you want to call it that, and I stumbled across wakethedead.com as a domain name that I was in charge of, and I'm like, where the fuck did this? And I was like, oh yeah. I remember like a long time ago Sean was talking about
Yeah.
this, and I was like, oh,
This
it's
is
available.
another beautiful example of how synchronicity, like you care for your friend and me, like I thought it was not available, and like the universe like gave you the opportunity, was like, hey, do you want to buy wakethedead.com? And you're like, yeah. And you forgot whatever what, but like that right there is the universe blessing others. Like this is
That's
how synchronicity works. Like I thought that I can't get wakethedead.com. I thought there was some band name or some shit like, and and now because I am good friends with you and you care for me, now wakethedead.com is reality. It's going to be a thing that, we're going to have to work on turning it into it, but you control it. So maybe you'll hold it hostage for a bunch of money. Yeah. But obviously, like this is how synchronicity, like I mean, me personally, whatever, but the good vibration goes, oh, they deserve this. There's abundance here. Oh, spread abundance. Like it's human, like that's human nature. And if we connect with other humans, then that abundance can be spread easily. So people need to donate if they feel they can, because we're all slaves in this system right now.
right. Well, I
And
mean,
we were just talking before, like we were recording it, but I
the
mean,
message is the most is paramount.
right,
So
right, right,
the way that we can do that is fighting the algorithms, and the only way that we can do that is by like promoting each other's works in the digital space.
right.
If you can, if you're like, wow, I really like that design, I really would like that on a t-shirt, go buy a freaking t-shirt. I'm gonna
I'm
make you,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
like I believe that I believe that my value and the things that I can do in the physical world, I do a lot of physical work. I work my ass off to make.
Yeah,
So, but what do I do that for? I do that for the sake of my children, to make sure that there aren't more statists being brought up in this world through the government schools. Okay, let's just be real here. That's what I go to work for. That's why I go to work, do what I do, and get the paycheck that I get. Right? I want to change that. I want to come out of that paycheck mentality and try to be more entrepreneurial than I have been in the past. But the reason why I do the things I do is for my children. I really don't want them going into government schools. I'm doing everything that I possibly can to keep them out of the clutches of those bastards. And honestly, it's the best I can do. So, but I make t-shirts with my design on them. So if you like it, then I get something in return and you get something in return.
that's
And it's
right.
an equal exchange of value. And people should be proud of that we're still able to do that, even if it's just for a silly t-shirt. Now that
Right.
idea, you can expound upon that idea and see it from like 10,000 feet up. And what could the world look like if we really had like a free market like that, where everything that we exchanged was able to, you were able to freely exchange goods and come to terms and contracts and everything with people. And what do you need? What do I want? And really have those things be fulfilled. and if you don't agree with somebody, you can just simply walk away, and you know no harm has been done, you know. But I mean, we are.
Yeah, that's, I know we're kind of late, right?
It's fine. I'm okay, and it's just like I just wanted to be able to get that out into words. It's just like, you know, we over here at my place, we're doing everything we can. It ain't easy, you know,
Right,
and so when I decided when I decided to come back into the podcasting space, I really wanted to bring something to the table that maybe people have heard before, but they haven't heard it from me, not like this. And I wanted to bring something of value to the table for the people to walk away from and at least start thinking about something. And you know, so um the first thing that we need to be thinking about is how our actions affect other people. And you can help if you're not in the courageous spot yet, if you're not able to be bold yet, which I hope that my actions will inspire you to be. But if you want more people to hear what Sean says, what I say, what more, you know, more influential people have to say, the best and easiest thing that you can do is share someone else's words and ask
right.
people in your immediate sphere of influence, what do you think about this? Because I've been thinking about this and I want to know what you think about this.
Hmm.
And then more people are thinking and conversing and talking about these topics of freedom and morality and what's right and what's wrong, and how do we practice better actions, and how do we do better for each other. It can be really that simple, and it can really
Yeah,
spread that quickly. If the bad ideas and all the evil in the world spread around the way that they did, we can fight that. We are powerful.
right.
You guys out there are very powerful. And I guess I'll sign off
Hmm.
by saying that you own yourself, period. And I love you.
Hmm. God bless you, James. Thank you so much, man. I love you. And I'm glad you could join us here today. And thank you, listeners, for listening. And please check out voluntaristacademy.com and share. You know, this is how we change the, when we all are, you know, when it's Thanksgiving dinner, and if you're not bold enough to even speak up to your family, like, where are you going to start being bold, right? You know, share the ideas. If you agree, share them, talk about it. Don't just let it be, don't let it die on the vine. Be like, yeah, that was a cool idea. I'm going to go vote and go back to work. Like, you know, um, let them, let them come to fruition. Let the fruit ripen, you know, don't let it die on the vine. That's what I'm saying. Spread the words of the true, you know, spread the words. You know, take this show and share it. Take his show and share it. Thank you, James, for being here with us today and for being you. And thanks again for wakethedead.com. God bless you, man. It's great. And this is a wonderful time, and hopefully this will happen again soon.
Hopefully
So
not. Hopefully within another 100 episodes.
yeah. It should happen sooner than 100 episodes.
No,
But
we
I
got our
mean, we
time.
were doing Black Pill for a
Oh yeah,
while.
for
We had,
sure. For like a
yeah,
year.
right. But
Yeah.
you were like episode 7, or no, 11. You were episode 11 of
Yeah.
Wake the Dead. And now you're 121, I think, something like that. But
Cool.
yeah, it's been fun, man. It's, we, you know, like, having a show is because of you, I think. And, you know, my show, you know, and I'm just thankful and blessed to have,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
to have
I
you
was
as a
like, what are you
friend.
talking about?
Well, you know, you put it in
I
my
know.
hand, you
I
showed
know.
me the
I
app, you're
remember.
like, dude. And, you know, I'm infinitely grateful to your friendship, brother. And
Likewise.
it's great.
Likewise. Yeah, people don't know you and I. Maybe they don't know by now. I mean, you and I have been friends. We've known each other since
Yeah,
2003,
yeah, something like that.
2004, so at least 20 years by now.
Yeah,
And where we've been talking and having
yeah,
fun
yeah,
and being bros and being, you
totally.
know, and it's just It's
Yeah,
good to know
man.
that it can still exist.
Yeah. And it's good. Yeah, man. And I'm proud to introduce you to others, and
Yeah.
like you're my real family, so, and the listeners get to enjoy that, I hope. So, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time on Wake the Dead.